Okay guys, so just gonna take you with me this morning. I'm in a little bit of a hurry. I got somewhere to be here in a couple minutes, but I just decided my watermelon kilns that planted here last weekend, I really need to get them some water. I was expecting a little bit of rain shower over the weekend and we didn't get it, and we planted them. They had water when we planted them, but the ground was pretty dry around it, and I think it's been about 4 days now. Normally they can go a week before they need water, but we just didn't get any rain and there wasn't much moisture. So I'm going to try to get some water going to these. So I'm going to sort of temporarily set up a water supply to this small patch. It's not going to be permanent, because when I run the whole field, it'll be sort of a better setup, more permanent for the season setup. But I'm temporarily sort of piecing this and that together, used parts, and try and get this water. So I'll take you with me this morning and get this done. But I gotta hurry, so it'll be quick. All right, so this is my Honda pump here that I use. Very reliable pump. This thing I run for almost all my irrigation on this pond here is my main water supply. This guy has done a lot of work for me in the last year or two. I have this in another one sort of as a backup, but so this is where I get my water from. We got to get this thing fired up, and then I'll show you where this high pressure line goes from the pond up into the top of the hill and then runs down across to the field. And then I go a lower pressure line from there, but I'll show you that in a minute. Up in the line. I just want a little bit of water in the line. I don't want high pressure, so we're just gonna sort of let it just idle and give me some water. So these are the two products that I'm going to be using here. These are basically new. I'm going to be using used today. I'll show you the new layout here in a week or two when I lay out my whole field. But this is what you call basically headline, or the blue stripe 2-inch orchard tubing. I mean, there's different names for it. This is a 450-foot roll, and then this is what they call lay flat. Basically, well, the red one there is the same material that I ran, but the red one is a higher pressure. I believe it goes like 120 psi, I believe, and I think this goes up to 80 off my head, I believe, or 65 or 80 or something in that neighborhood. So basically, you run the higher pressure to the field, and then you run the headline in the field, because my drip lines, which drip my water to the plants, have a maximum PSI of 21 pounds before they would sort of blow up, basically. And this is the same. So you got to kind of get the pressure to the field, and then you reduce the pressure in the field to run. That's just how this is set up, and I got to operate that way. Okay, so here's my headline. It's coming out of the woods out there by the peach trees, and I have it running up through here. And it does run and feed all my greenhouses. And I just temporarily spliced in the line right here. And then I have a valve there so I can shut it off if later I want to feed just the greenhouses by itself. But right now I just have a low pressure. Well, it's plenty of pressure actually, but it's I don't have it full pressure by any means. Anyway, this guy I just temporarily ran. It was just a used piece I had laying around here. Temporarily ran it out to the end of the greenhouse here. So it comes up through the end of the greenhouse, and what I'm currently doing here is I wanted to flush this line. So over winter, you know, sometimes critters or mice or whatever get in this line, or just junk, take nest in there or whatever. And I wanted to blow this line clean before I hook it up to my temporary headline here across the field, and then be able to hook the watermelons up from there. So got this accomplished. Looks like that's clean water coming out of there. So I'm gonna now shut this down at the bottom so I can. So I actually had this blocked off at the other end to force all my water out of my hose I just laid. It's always important when you're shutting one line to make sure the water has somewhere else to go. So I'm gonna open this line back up. All right, that way, now it's going to be running through my greenhouse lines and feeding my strawberries and tomatoes and whatever, just running there at the time being so that it has somewhere for that water to go. And I'm gonna close the other line up, going up to the top, and we're gonna go hook it up. Okay, just like I was saying earlier, this was a used piece of a headline, and you can see where I had all my lines coming out last year. I gotta just temporarily pop some connectors in there just to block that up. This is all temporary. It's just going to be about a week or two, and then we're going to put the real headline through here and do it right, the right way with no leaks and stuff. But yeah, so we're going to hook these up and then plug this all up. I'm going to put an end cap in the end. See if I can find one here quick. Here's just an end cap. Just go in the end of the line and block the line, and then once I have that done, I'll hook up my connectors to the rows and I'll show you how to do that. Okay, the Nile River has ceased flowing that I had going on here, but anyway, I got the end cap in, so that water's blocked up, and I popped some connectors in all those fountains I had coming out there, and I even stuck a little pressure gauge in the one there to plug that one up. That way I can tell what my pressure is in the line when I do have it running, because I'd like to have it close to 20 pounds. I like to have it close to max pressure. That way everything's getting good water when it's running, but I know I'm not over pressure. So, all right, we're gonna hook some of these up here quick and then get running. All right guys, I gotta hurry a little bit here. My pressure is actually a little stronger than I'd like to be, so I gotta open these lines up, get some of that pressure relieved. So this is a pretty sweet tool I get from a local produce dealer. Same company that makes these connectors gives you this tool to put them in. So this is really handy on when you got to put new holes in. So basically you open the valve up so you can slide through. If you close it, it would obviously block that. So you have that in there. It's got a little tooth on the front here where I can cut a hole in my headline. First thing I got to do here, my drip line I have running just on the upper side of these plants. So first thing I got to do here is locate that. So it was about maybe 2 inches down there under the ground, which is ideal. So this thing runs the whole length of the field, and this is how I get water to my row. So what I'm gonna do is bring him out there and bring him out there. Okay, so first thing here, this one's connected. So the reason I want water pressure in my line is if you do that, for one, it's easier to punch holes. It makes it easier. I've learned this over years of doing this, some of the tricks or whatever. The other problem is if you do this when it's empty, it is impossible to keep it straight as far as all your connectors. And then once you do put water pressure in the line, it's going to twist and straighten out. And if you're not 100% straight, which it's impossible to be that way when you're going across the field, all of a sudden then your connectors are up and down and sticking all dumb, you got kinks, it's a mess. So if you have water pressure as though it's running in the field when you hook up, it's the most accurate as far as being wrinkle free and stuff when you're done. So all right, we're gonna punch this guy in here. It's gonna be a little bit of water going, but this is sometimes a wet job. It is what it is. So I want to line myself up here. I'm just gonna dig a hole. Once I punch through, now I'm in. So I pull that guy out. So we got good water pressure there. I'm close him. Now get this guy open. I hook him up here in the end. I get it all the way in there as far as I can, and then I can screw this end piece tight on top. And I want to make sure that's nice and snug. I give a little tug to make sure it's good. I can open up and that side's getting water. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. You can see my water pressure was high. I'm probably running, I'm guessing 25 pounds maybe right now, which is, you know, a little bit of a danger. So I do want to get these lines opened up so that my pressure can disperse. So I'm gonna, actually, almost made a mistake. I'm gonna put this in first, that way I can make sure my exact distance is right here. So there's a little hole in here that lets the water escape. I wanna make sure that's going away from me. That's a rookie mistake if you have that thing pointing at you and sprays you in the face. Just things you learn by trial and error. So I'm just coming just about an inch or so on the other side of this other one. Make sure that line's cleaned out. So there's no junk in there, I open that valve all the way up, line him up where I want him. I try to make a nice clean cut. If this is not a nice clean cut, you're gonna have leaks. Like right here, this is sealed nice. If you don't get that cut nice and clean, it'll never seal that way, and you'll just have a leaky spot forever and ever and ever in that field, and it just becomes a mud puddle. So get him all the way in here. Make sure he's tight, and row number 1 is done. I got 4 more to go and we're finished. So get this field some water. All right, last one. Got the last one going there, but I do see I got a leak. All right, all 5 rows, I got them connected. Looks good. The only problem I see is I got a leak down here at the bottom of the field from that first row. I don't know if that was from the too high a pressure in that line for a few minutes there, or if it had a hole and I just made it worse by having that high pressure. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go put a connector in there and fix that, because that's gonna make a mess for me. All right, yeah, so we got a pretty good leak here. So my guess is this was blown. Normally these leaks, we often have small leaks, but this is a big one, so I think I blew this one by having my pressure too high. I thought I had the pump set at a little bit of an idle, but it was apparently more than I had realized, so, or for what I had opened up, I guess. So anyways, normally I would shut this line off, but me being stubborn and not feeling like walking back and forth anymore, I'm just going to cut this line. And they give us this other connector here where I can just connect straight through with no valve, just to connect the line to eliminate this leak and kind of get it back to normal. So just step back a little bit, Asher, this could get messy. So yeah, this looks like it blew out here. It's just a weak spot. So I'm just going to cut ahead of it. So I'm just going to let that go for now. Go on the other side, make another clean cut if I can. I need to get a sharper knife. Makes this much easier. This knife is a little dull. So the only way to do this without getting wet is to shut the line off, but I almost had it. So I want to get that all the way in, because I don't want that coming apart later on in the summer when my watermelons are over top and I don't know it. So I tug on that, make sure it got pressure, make sure it can hold itself. So I tighten that as tight as I can. I'm going to take this other side, and I'm going to use the water pressure to actually help me get a good seal. Shove that all the way in. All right. I might have to shut this line off. It might be a little too much for me. I learned early on, best way to get me to do something is tell me I can't. So, I didn't do it dry, but we did it. All right, I do gotta back this pump off though. That pressure's plenty strong. So, there we go, got water to the watermelon. All right, so I did run down and idle that pump down. I'm actually surprised how much pressure I had, because that pump is not really running that hard. So I'm just feeling my end lines here just to feel the pressure. This is just, it's not something I can teach. I want a nice taut line there, but I can tell when it's too much and I can tell when it's too little. But I got a nice pressure there. I think I can let it go there. It's basically just idling down there, which is great. See here, I did lose one of my plants. Just got a little too dry. Most of them look okay, and I believe we're good, but it'll be nice to soak this field. And the nice part of that idling is I can run for a while with almost no gas. So it's just gonna, like, that'll hardly take any gas idling like that, and give me a nice water pressure there in this line. Oh, looks like this line forgot to get tied, so I'm gonna have to knot the end of him, and then all these rows ought to be getting water.